why, but Dan taught me that.
I can indeed hear you.
All right, test. Coach, can you hear us okay?
Testing.
We need to do a couple tests today. First of all, can you hear us?
Uno, dos, uno, dos.
1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
5, 6, 7, 8.
Test. 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 Test.
I gotta stop drinking my water before the game.
I already had my NOS.
I'm down to half already.
Yeah, I don't have water, but it's okay. Test. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test. 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 Can you hear us? Okay, you can hear me? All right, here's what I'm going to do now. Test. We have to test the ads. I have to test Wire Ready. So I'm going to play a couple of ads now from Wire Ready, and you let me know if you can hear it, because I think everything's connected. I just have to make sure that it plays. All right, we're going to play it in 3, 2, and 1.
AirServe Heating and Air in West Waynesville is working these days, keeping their customers cool with Luxair's high-performance heating and air conditioning equipment, which is top of the line. Since 1954, Luxair has stood for uncompromising quality and unmistakable attention to detail. AirServe is your Luxair dealer, but they service all brands. So if your AC is not performing up to par, contact AirServe at 505 Historic Route 66 at 433-3613 or 774-7805. When Mother Nature turns on the heat, you turn on the air. It's the cool thing to do.
Hear that? That's the plumpest, juiciest hot dogs you've ever seen getting their grill on. But we both know what'll make it sound even better. Oh yeah, it's a Pepsi to go with your hot dog. Because when you're chomping on America's favorite meal, relish, mustard, and onions perfectly blending into a crescendo of flavor, there's only one thing that makes everything about that moment better. A cold, refreshing Pepsi. See what I mean? It's like music to my ears. Hot dogs. Better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Yeah, so if those ads are coming in really loud, I can just try to turn it down on the main, and then I'll just kind of have to manually adjust from there. So, all right, let me try it again. So I'm going to assume right now I'm coming in at my normal level, or about normally where we're at. And so I'm going to go ahead and try that again. I'm going to play a couple more ads, but I'm going to turn it down a bit. You let me know if it's coming in at a better level this time. All right, 3, 2, and 1.
AirServe Heating and Air in West Waynesville is working these days, keeping their customers cool with Luxair's high-performance heating and air conditioning equipment, which is top of the line. Since 1954, Luxair has stood for uncompromising quality and unmistakable attention to detail. AirServe is your Luxair dealer, but they service all brands. So if your AC is not performing up to par, contact AirServe at 505 Historic Route 66 at 433-3613 or 774-7805. When Mother Nature turns on the heat, you turn on the air. It's the cool thing to do.
Well,
hear that? That's the plumpest, juiciest hot dogs you've ever seen getting their grill on. But we both know what'll make it sound even better. Oh yeah, it's a Pepsi to...
If that's the case, then you might just have to turn it down yourself. Like, you might just have to pod the main down and then just pod us up after we come back. So yes, was it? So it wasn't that quieter? It wasn't that much quieter? Or yes, it was quieter? Okay. Yeah, you might just have to turn us down. Or pod it down, and then just listen for us to come back, and when we come back, turn us back up. So won't be doing anything different than what we've done in the past. We're still just going to roll 1-minute breaks. So if you just listen for us to come back, even if we're a little bit quiet first and then you pot us up and then we get back to the normal volume, then it'll be fine. We're just going to try to run our own ads today. So, alrighty, I am good to go on my end. So I will tell you what, I'll be calling you here in about, probably about 10 or 12 minutes as we get closer to game time, because I'm going to have you pod down the music, and then when you pod it down, I'm going to start the intro. Does that make sense? So that we have a smooth entry into the game, and it's not just me starting the intro and then we kind of get that last second chopped off. So I will give you a call here in about 10, 12 minutes so we can get that ironed out, or get that started smoothly. So I'm going to pod down, we're going to be silent, and then we'll be good to go. All right, talk to you soon.
You're listening to KOZQ, Waynesville, St. Robert, Fort Leonard Wood, Missouri. It's time for Tiger football. Join us as the Tigers march through the Ozark Conference on 102.3 FM under new coach Kyle Barkley. Tiger football is brought to you by Air Serv Heating and Air, the Marys County Banks, Mailbox It, Lowe's Chevrolet, Memorial Chapels, Pepsi Cola Bottling Company, and Moore's Ford, Flo's 66 Diner, Shelter Insurance Agents Dave Holland in Richland, and John Gregory in Crocker, and St. Robert Auto Supply. The pregame show starts it off, the kickoff not far away.
And a very good evening to you and yours. We are here at Tiger Stadium, back home for week 3 of the high school football season, as the Waynesville Tigers, fresh off of a victory over Parkview last week, look to make it 2 in a row against a big rival here in the Camdenton Lakers. Connor Harbert here with you today on Z102.3, and of course joined by my partner once again, Garrett Bowles. Garrett, good to have you back. I've done a couple of solo broadcasts with the softball team, but of course it's football time, and that means you're going to join us here. Should be a good one tonight.
It absolutely should. It is football season. You have the Jamboree, the first 2 games. I think it kind of gives teams a chance to settle in, find their identity. What you get tonight is going to be the start of the building blocks. We're kind of done with the foundation now. We're moving on to the walls, and hopefully we'll get to the ceiling as soon as possible here. It looks like a great night for football. I'm a little hot, but I'll tell you what, it's going to cool down real quick when those young men start hitting each other, running fast, and throwing that pigskin around.
Yeah, and of course the sun's starting to drop as well. The temperature should be pretty solid here by game time, currently right now at about 82 or 83 degrees, give or take, and that might just be my guesstimation here. Well, actually, yeah, 81. I wasn't even so far off there, but it is going to get a little bit cooler as the game continues on, so we'll see how things shake out. But Waynesville, of course, they are 1-1 on the season. A Week 1 loss to Glendale followed up with a fairly solid Week 2 victory over the Parkview Vikings. Again, kind of got started a little bit slowly there in that one, really ramped it up. And Garrett, something we've been harping on since the Jamboree was the potential explosiveness of this Waynesville offense, and we saw that in spades against Parkview. Numerous long runs in that first half and even into the second half as well.
That's absolutely right. It was a great second half, especially for the Waynesville offense. I'll tell you what, though, they cannot afford to get off on a cold start tonight. They've got to go fast. They've got to go heavy. They got to be explosive. I would not be surprised if they take some shots early here, try to get this Camdenton team a little more off balance than they probably are. Probably a lot of confidence going into this game for the Lakers tonight.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned the fact that they need to get going. It's really something that we mentioned for Parkview last week, a big thing for the Vikings, but I think when you come in the underdog, and I think most people have pegged Waynesville as the underdog here tonight, when you got to get out there and you've got to make an impact early on. We even saw that against Glendale to some degree. Waynesville, the underdog there in that one. Most media sources saying that Waynesville was the underdog against the Falcons. But they come out, they score the first touchdown, and they fell behind a couple times, but they were able to kind of keep themselves in it. They had that confidence. I think we need to see the same thing here today. We need to see that Waynesville offense really get going, maybe rip off a couple big runs here today, and we'll talk about the personnel available to Waynesville here tonight. But I think you got to rip off a couple big runs here, really kind of prove to Camdenton that you're going to hang around. The Lakers, of course, they're going to try to put us away early. They're going to try to go ahead and show that they are the team that's coming in with all those lofty expectations. They're going to try to show us that those are very much grounded in pretty solid theory.
Yeah, I mean, there's most of the time predictions are correct, but tonight I wouldn't be surprised if Waynesville can go on a little bit of a run here. In the Glendale game, we remember they stayed with Glendale, and they'd never let Glendale get up by 2 or 3 touchdowns. It was always tight, or they didn't let them, I should say, extend the lead past 2 or 3 touchdowns. It was tight all game, and that left Waynesville really in it until the end, until Glendale scored that last touchdown with about a minute to go. This could have been anybody's ball game, and if they can do that against Glendale, they can do that tonight, I believe, against the Camdenton Lakers.
Absolutely. So, of course, tonight is Military Appreciation Night here at Tiger Stadium. Hopefully going to have plenty of our nation's finest here in attendance tonight. Already quite the big crowd here kind of filling their way in. Of course, Camdenton not too far away from Waynesville. They're starting to fill out the visitors' side of the field as well. So we're going to go ahead and take our first break of the day. We're going to make it a 4-minute timeout. We are about 25 minutes to opening kickoff here at the moment. We'll be back in 4 minutes. We'll talk a little bit more about these two sides. And again, maybe even throwing on over to Garrett, who got an opportunity to speak with Camdenton's head coach a little bit earlier on in the week. So again, we'll be back here in 4 minutes, but don't go anywhere. You're listening to Waynesville Tiger Football right here on Z102.3.
Heating and Air in West Waynesville is working these days keeping their customers cool with Luxair's high-performance heating and air conditioning equipment, which is top of the line. Since 1954, Luxair has stood for uncompromising quality and unmistakable attention to detail. AirServe is your Luxair dealer, but they service all brands. So if your AC is not performing up to par, contact AirServe at 505 Historic Route 66 at 433-3613 or 774-7805. When Mother Nature turns on the heat, you turn on the air. It's the cool thing to do.
Hear that? That's the plumpest, juiciest hot dogs you've ever seen getting their grill on. But we both know what'll make it sound even better. Oh yeah, it's a Pepsi to go with your hot dog. Because when you're chomping on America's favorite meal, relish, mustard, and onions perfectly blending into a crescendo of flavor, there's only one thing that makes everything about that moment better. A cold, refreshing Pepsi. See what I mean? It's like music to my ears. Hot dogs. Better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
This is Brad Shelton at the Marys County Bank. Every day, the Marys County Bank touches every corner of your life and supports you as you turn your life's goals into accomplishments. Whether it's purchasing your first car, opening a small business, buying a home, planning a wedding, or preparing for retirement. From your first car to a new life after retirement, the Marys County Bank is there for all your life's milestones with our full line of products. Stop by one of our 10 locations and see how the Marys County Bank can support your dreams. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Mailbox It in St. Robert is now your complete shipping headquarters. Mailbox It is a UPS authorized shipping agent. They can ship your package UPS, accept UPS drop-offs, and can accept UPS returns with a shipping label. Add FedEx and the United States Postal Service, and why go anywhere else? Mailbox It is the go-to resource for packing, shipping, printing, and business service needs. Mailbox It is a copy, print, and document service center. They can even print your photos and canvases. Mailbox It, 213 Suite 3, St. Robert Boulevard.
Lowe's Chevrolet in Waynesville is one of Missouri's top-performing Chevy dealers. They're locally owned and operated. Lowe's Chevrolet is getting more new inventory every week. When the semi-truck rolls onto the Lowe's Chevrolet parking lot, pick what you want off the truck right there on the spot. Check back often to see what new vehicles have arrived. Find them online at lowchevy.com. And of course, see them off I-44, exit 156, Waynesville.
The score of any athletic event is generally forgotten over time, but the actions of players, coaches, and spectators leave lasting impressions. The next time you attend a high school game, think of how history will remember you. Choose good sportsmanship and help rekindle the spirit of citizenship. Remember, the lessons you teach today will help develop better citizens in our communities for tomorrow. This message has been brought to you by your friends at the Missouri State High School Activities Association and this local radio station.
Here at Mountain Dew, we'd like to remind you, life doesn't always have to be so serious. You gotta know what's important and what's not important. Here's a checklist. Knowing how to tie a tie, not important. Standing up for your friends, important. Keeping a diary, not important. Always keeping some Mountain Dew in the fridge, important. Trying all the different bold flavors of Mountain Dew, important. Like Mountain Dew Spark, important. Mountain Dew Major Melon, important. Mountain Dew Code Red, important. Mountain Dew Voltage, important. Mountain Dew Livewire, important. Experience the boldest flavors on earth. Do the Dew.
Saying goodbye to those we love is made a little easier. Just knowing your memories are safely kept within Sunset Memorial Estates Cemetery. This is Martin Vernon, owner of Memorial Chapels and Crematory. Burial at our Sunset Memorial Estates provides the respect and personalized ceremony families expect and offers many options to military families, including personalized monument selection. For more information, contact Memorial Chapels and Crematory.
And back here once again at Tiger Stadium here in Waynesville. Again, pregame festivities about 20 minutes away from opening kickoff here in this one. Again, the Waynesville Tigers football team playing host to the Camdenton Lakers. Again, week 3 of the high school football season. Waynesville coming into this contest with a record of 1-1. Camdenton, a perfect 2-0 on the year. And, of course, we will talk about Camdenton here in a little bit. Like I said, Garrett got an opportunity to speak with Camdenton head coach Jeff Shore. But Camdenton 2-0, have defeated Kickapoo, also have a victory over, Camdenton also with a victory over, I lost my papers here. Save me, Garrett. Victory over Rolla there as well back in week 1. A very dominating performance for the Lakers, actually a shutout of the Bulldogs there in that one as well. So again, this is going to be a tough matchup here for Waynesville. But as we saw with Glendale, kind of the same thing. Very talented quarterback, a quarterback who can run or pass. Waynesville was able to keep him contained at times throughout that one. Obviously did not get the W in that one. But again, it's going to be a challenge here tonight. So, personnel available here for Waynesville, very much the same. Our very own Marv Luton, he got an opportunity to speak with Coach Barkley prior to today's contest. Coach Barkley, really the same players out. Noah Vander Bradfield here today. He is out injured. He is dressed but not in shoulder pads here today. You're also not going to have Mason Wright, the linebacker, as well. You're not going to have Ta Aussie here tonight. So expect more of the players we've seen the last couple of weeks to shine. And Garrett, really, we saw 2 great performances from a couple running backs. Michael Kelsey Jr., he's kind of come up and kind of stepped up. And then you also have Chase Thomas Plummer, 283 rushing yards last week. He's going to want to try to do that again.
No doubt about it, and that is going to be so crucial in avoiding this high-powered offense that Camdenton has to offer. I mean, fighting through tackles last week was Chase Thomas Plummer and avoiding them altogether whenever he can. I mean, this kid is absolutely fantastic. Didn't get to see a whole lot of him in that first game, but as soon as he got the opportunity to get on the field a little bit, show his skills as a running back as well as a wide receiver, he has just been fantastic ever since that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, of course, the marching band coming out onto the field here, so I think we'll have to go ahead and take a short break in a moment for the national anthem. But we'll go ahead and keep it locked in here until I know that for certain, as we do have a couple more things to talk about. Obviously, the passing game last week for Waynesville. Garrett, I'd like to see that maybe a little bit more. A couple of great passes last week from David Vernon, just wasn't really able to hang on to it, the receivers were. Do you think we really maybe kind of see Waynesville go back to it? Because I don't think you can scrap it. I think there was enough promise there last week against Parkview to keep going on with what you were doing.
You're absolutely right. I think the execution of the play left a little bit to be desired, but overall I think it was a pretty good passing attack, especially from the quarterback. Wide receivers, I think it's more of a timing issue than anything, but we saw them practicing over here on the left side of the field a little bit earlier. I was impressed. I can see the improvement going over pretty much the entire QB room. It was very impressive, and when you're asking about if we'll see it, I think we're going to have to. Camdenton's going to come out hot and heavy, and if Waynesville's going to want to stay with it, eventually they're going to have to go through the air.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, obviously, we talk more about the Parkview game and a couple of incompletions there for David Vernon. But we can even go back to Glendale when we saw a lot of success in the passing game. 2 passing touchdowns for Waynesville in week 1. Again, Johnny Hedrick with 1. And then, of course, that game starting. The first touchdown of the game, the 35-yard touchdown pass. I believe at the time that was Vernon over to his tight end. I believe that was Josh Bess, who made the catch there back in week 1. So we'll kind of wait and see what the offense looks like here today. But again, we know it's going to be a ground-focused game. But Garrett, we'll go ahead and let you talk a little bit about this Camdenton side here with the break that we do have as we continue to kind of march on in this pregame. You got an opportunity to talk with head coach Jeff Shore. Obviously, Shore, a big name down there. What do you have to say to you?
Well, first off, I wanted to thank Jeff Shore, the great coach over at the Camdenton Lakers. I got a chance to talk to him actually on his cell phone. He answered my call in the middle of a PE gym class and had a whole 5-10 minute interview with me. It was fantastic. I was super happy to see that. Camdenton right now is on a bit of a hot streak. They pitched the shutout in Rolla a couple of days ago, or a couple of weeks ago, I should say. 45-0, the final score. The Lakers offense, 30.5 points per game last year throughout the entire course of the season. This year, upping that a little bit so far. They have 34.5 points per game this season. It was very impressive to see the offense continue, and of course the great quarterback Bear Shore is the reason for that. I mean, he has a huge arm, and I think what separates him most from the people his age playing quarterback right now, he is a smart quarterback. You get a lot of the high school quarterbacks onto the field. They want to take deep shots, or they want to take screens that are a little more safer. Maybe they have weaknesses, whether it's in the middle of the field or out near the sideline. I watched some game film from Shore. I didn't see very many weaknesses. He was truly an impressive quarterback. 24 touchdowns last season, not a whole lot of interceptions, over 2,500 yards through the air and almost 500 yards on the ground, and that was a junior. He is bigger, he is stronger, he is very impressive to watch. Another guy to watch tonight will be the senior working out of the slot, Camdenton. He's already committed to Wichita State for baseball, but I'll tell you what, that is not the sport he's playing tonight. He's going to be a fantastic football player tonight as well. Last year, he kind of got all over the field. This year, with the 3 other wide receivers that they have on the field that are all fantastic and all over 6 foot, by the way, huge guys, but he's going to be able to focus on his specialty, which is the slot. Real quick, I'll talk about the defense. Last year, 25.5 points per game. That is not something you want to see out of a Camdenton Laker defense that has been impressive for as long as I can remember. I mean, they have always been a very good defense. 25, not a horrible by any means, but it's definitely not where they want them to be. This year, though, 10.5 points per game average, and that's all thanks to a very improved defensive line, is what Coach Shore told me. I noted that the defense looks a lot better, and he said, yeah, it's mostly because the defensive line has really came along. I asked him for some star players. He says, man, I really couldn't tell you. They just all play in a tandem so darn well, but whenever I pushed him a little bit, he did say Jacoby Coleman, the nose tackle out there, is going to be fantastic. He was in last week's game. He was in the home opener, or the on the road opener, I should say, for the Lakers. So he is going to have a big job tonight of breaking through the offensive line of the Tigers and stopping these big explosive runs that we alluded to earlier before they even begin. And then another guy that was mentioned through several media outlets, Tommy Michaelia. I hope that I am saying that right. I apologize if I'm not, but he's a senior, and he's going to be blitzing the line quite a bit, I am assuming. Look for him to have a ton of tackles if he stays fundamentally sound. These Waynesville ball carriers, very shifty, and the offense is kind of tricky to guess every once in a while. They like to mix it up a little bit, but if he guesses correctly, it's going to be a rough day behind the line, and it's all going to be because of that senior linebacker.
Yeah, absolutely. And, sometimes I feel kind of like a broken record a little bit because I feel like I say the same things each week, week in and week out. But really, there's a lot of talent in this conference, the Ozark Conference. And this offensive line, they're going to have to deal with some very, very talented players on the Camdenton front. 21 points to Kickapoo, and, of course, pitched the shutout against Rolla back in week 1. So the national anthem here today, about to happen. We're going to go and take another break. We'll come back here in just a few moments. We're about 12 minutes away from opening kickoff here in this one. Again, the Waynesville Tigers, they play host to the Camdenton Lakers. We will be back in 4 minutes. Don't go anywhere. You are listening to Waynesville Tiger Football right here on Z102.3.
If you've been to Flo's 66 Diner in St. Robert, then you're one of the many. And if you haven't been there, you need to get on the bandwagon because you're missing out. The owner, Missy, has been in the restaurant biz since she was a kid and offers you the best in home-cooked daily specials. Breakfast with one of everybody's favorites, their biscuits and gravy, and, of course, everything else on the menu. That's Flo's 66 Diner next to O'Reilly's on historic Route 66. They're open 7 days a week. And by the way, word is that Flo's 66 Diner has the best servers in town.
It's tailgating savings all September at your Napa Auto Parts store, St. Robert Auto Supply. Fuel your passion and protect your engine with Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic and High Mile Motor Oil. On sale $29.99 for synthetic, $30.99 for high mile. Save $15 on a pair of Trico Premium and Super Premium wiper blades. And save 30% on a Maxi Track duffel bag, now $13.99. These savings and more are at your Napa Auto Parts store, St. Robert Auto Supply, off Missouri Avenue in St. Robert. Get the good stuff 7 days a week.
Now is a great time to pre-order a new vehicle from Ed Morse Ford in St. Robert. When you do, you lock in your price now to protect from future price increases. Or, if you want a pre-owned vehicle, we have a huge selection. Plus, we'll give you top dollar for your trade. And we're still buying late model vehicles. That's cause we've got your back. To check out our inventory with new shipments arriving daily, come by Ed Morse Ford in St. Robert or shop online at edmorsefordstrobert.com and find out what it means to be backed by Morse.
Hear that? That's the plumpest, juiciest hot dogs you've ever seen getting their grill on. But we both know what'll make it sound even better. Oh yeah, it's a Pepsi to go with your hot dog. Because when you're chomping on America's favorite meal, relish, mustard, and onions perfectly blending into a crescendo of flavor, there's only one thing that makes everything about that moment better. A cold, refreshing Pepsi. See what I mean? It's like music to my ears. Hot dogs. Better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Congratulations, you're having a little girl.
At that moment, everything changed. Our hopes and dreams for ourselves were instantly replaced by our hopes and dreams for her. We got life insurance policies from Shelter Insurance, so that regardless of what life throws at us, we'll still be able to provide the world to her.
For a free insurance review,
for auto, home, life, farm, or business insurance, see me, Dave Howlett, your Shelter Insurance agent in Richland.
Or come see me, John Gregory, in Crocker.
Air Serv Heating and Air in West Waynesville is working these days keeping their customers cool with Luxair's high-performance heating and air conditioning equipment, which is top of the line. Since 1954, Luxair has stood for uncompromising quality and unmistakable attention to detail. Air Serv is your Luxair dealer, but they service all brands. So if your AC is not performing up to par, contact Air Serv at 505 Historic Route 66 at 433-3613 or 774-7805. When Mother Nature turns on the heat, you turn on the air. It's the cool thing to do.
And once again, back here to Tiger Stadium here in Waynesville, creeping ever closer to the start of today's contest. Again, the Waynesville Tigers playing host to the Camdenton Lakers. The fans on their feet as Waynesville set to come out to the field. Have a nice little entryway formed here today. The youth football teams out here, and of course supported by the marching band as well. And of course you can hear they're coming onto the field right about now. So we're going to talk about some other games going on around the state here today. Obviously not the only action in the state of Missouri. A couple games already being played, though. On Thursday, of course, a lot of games being played on Thursday and Saturday this year due to external circumstances. But there was a game in the Ozark Conference already played. West Plains easily dispatching Hillcrest yesterday, number 9 in Class 4. They defeat Hillcrest 55-0. So that is going to be your final score in the first game out of the Ozark Conference. Another score already final, my hometown Nevada. They played on Thursday yesterday. They easily dispatched East Newton 68-0. Nevada, the number 3 school in Class 4 at the moment. So Nevada and West Plains, two definitely very, very good programs down there. They take care of business. Other games of importance here today, of course, we have number 10 Camdenton. We didn't even mention Camdenton. They are ranked in Class 5. They are the number 10 program in all the land. They take us on here today. You have number 1 Carthage and number 4 Nixa. Carthage, number 1 Class 5. Nixa, number 4 Class 6. That's a big matchup here tonight. We're going to be watching that one, even though it is out of conference. But you also have number 1 Lamar versus Monette, number 2 Webb City taking on Republic, and then, of course, number 5 Lebanon taking on Kickapoo here today. That's another big game here in the Ozark Conference. Lebanon, of course, they are yet to allow much of anything, yet to allow a single point. In fact, if we want to be precise there, actually, I may be getting my lines crossed there with the teams, Garrett. Correct me if I'm wrong in a little bit, but Kickapoo, they're going to be looking for revenge here against the Lebanon squad. That's really, we know that for sure, coming off of a close loss here to the team we see here tonight in Camdenton. Other areas, Branson, district opponent, they are taking on Willard here today. Parkview, they are playing host to Bolivar, and Glendale plays host over against Rolla. So those are your other Ozark Conference games here today. And of course, I'll kind of update you on the scores we get at halftime and then after today's game here as well. But we are about 5.5 minutes away from the opening bell here in this one. Our captain's about to meet over at midfield. So tell you what, we're going to go ahead and take ourselves another quick 2-minute timeout. When we come back, the coin toss, kickoff. It'll be good going here. Again, the number 10 Camdenton squad taking on our Waynesville Tigers. Back in a moment, you're listening to Waynesville Tiger Football right here on Z102.3.
Lowe's Chevrolet in Waynesville is one of Missouri's top-performing Chevy dealers. They're locally owned and operated. Lowe's Chevrolet is getting more new inventory every week. When the semi-truck rolls onto the Lowe's Chevrolet parking lot, pick what you want off the truck right there on the spot. Check back often to see what new vehicles have arrived. Find them online at lowchevy.com. And of course, see them off I-44, exit 156, Waynesville.
Here at Mountain Dew, we'd like to remind you, life doesn't always have to be so serious. You gotta know what's important and what's not important. Here's a checklist. Knowing how to tie a tie, not important. Standing up for your friends, important. Keeping a diary, not important. Always keeping some Mountain Dew in the fridge, important. Trying all the different bold flavors of Mountain Dew, important. Like Mountain Dew Spark, important. Mountain Dew Major Melon, important.